Animals are a generic name that defines any type of multicellular and eukaryotic organism belonging to the animal kingdom, which is a large and very diverse group of creatures that vary greatly in shape and size from each other, and some have abilities and features completely different from others. Not including the animal kingdom, as big as any type of bacteria, belongs to a more massive group of organisms called eukaryotes, which combine them with two other classes of creatures that have separate kingdoms, which are fungi and plants. And one of the most important features of the types of the animal kingdom is that they have developed the muscles that have developed. They enable them to move from one place to another, which in turn led to the development of more advanced tissues and biological and nervous systems in animals. It is possible that the Greek scientist Aristotle was the first to divide living beings into groups. Aristotle believed that it is possible to group living creatures into two large categories which he called kingdoms, which are the animal and plant kingdoms. As plants are distinguished by their green watering and their inability to move, and the animals are the higher order creatures, due to their ability to move and search for food or escape from predators, while humans considered the most upscale class among all beings. In addition, Aristotle divided the animal kingdom into subcategories, represented by vertebrates, which are animals that have a skeleton, including fish, birds, amphibians and humans, and invertebrates, which are most organisms in terms of numbers, including insects, spiders, worms and most marine creatures. In the Renaissance in Europe, the classification of animals began to develop, as scientists took the arrangement of living organisms into more precise groups and gave them scientific names for the Latin language. But this system remained in severe chaos due to the absence of anyone to organize it and convert it into a standard way. In the middle of the 18th century, the Swedish naturalist Carlos Linnaeus built the first hierarchical classification under the name Linnaeus scheme, in which he divided nature into three kingdoms, which are animals, plants and rocks, where the science of geology was still emerging at that time, so the study of rocks was involved in the work The World of Nature. Linnaeus divided these kingdoms into sects, factions, races and species, and his system evolved over time to turn into a modern animal classification system. In 1874, Ernst Haeckel divided living organisms into two parts, namely, multicellular creatures, and monocytes, English, protista, but this classification has continued to evolve over time, and in the present day, scientists agree that life on Earth is divided into three gigantic groups: archaic bacteria, which are the primitive germs from which life began to evolve, and bacteria, and includes many types of germs, eukaryotes, and the latter includes four basic kingdoms, which are monocytes, fungi, plants, and finally animals. It is difficult to estimate the number of animals on Earth, because it is impossible to count them by the number. Every year scientists record hundreds or thousands of new species of them in various parts of the world. And the number of documented and known ones is increasing with time. According to some estimates, it may be 86% of all living things that lives on land, and 91% of all living things in the sea are unknown to humans yet, and estimates vary from one study to the next. But one recent study, published in 2011, estimates the number of animals on Earth at about 7.77 million species, but 953,434. Some of them have been scientifically documented so far, only about 12%. A scientific study published in May 2016 indicates that the number of living organisms on Earth may reach 1 trillion species. But this study focuses on the biological diversity of bacteria and microscopic creatures, and may not fully express the diversity in the animal kingdom. It is impossible to enumerate all the animals in the world, but this article seeks to collect the names of the most famous, most widespread, or most interacting with humans.